When my lawyer finally confirmed I had inherited $12 million, I did something incredibly strange. I did not call my son Julian to celebrate. I called him crying. I told him I had lost absolutely everything, that I was bankrupt, homeless, and desperately needed his help. He said, "Of course, Dad. Come stay with us. We will take care of you." But when I showed up at his $2 million house the next morning, the scene that greeted me, it was not a welcome party. It was a vicious conspiracy, and I realized my son did not just want my money. He might want my life. My name is Arthur Pendleton. I am 72 years old. I am standing on a clean sidewalk in San Diego, California, holding a cheap burner phone in one hand and my old worn-out suitcase in the other. My heart is hammering against my ribs, but not from fear, from pure anger. Just 10 minutes ago, I was on the phone with my lawyer, Mr. Sterling. He confirmed it. My older brother, Thomas, passed away and left me everything. $12 million after taxes. A clean $12 million. You would think I would be celebrating. You would think my first call would be to my only son, Julian. But I could not. Not until I knew the truth. You see, when my wife, my sweet Eleanor, passed away 3 years ago, something in Julian fundamentally changed. He and his wife Chloe became overly helpful, far too concerned. "Dad, are you sure you should be managing your own accounts? Dad, let me help you with your investments. Dad, you look exhausted. Why do you not just give me power of attorney?" I had spent 40 years building Pendleton Shipping from a single cargo vessel into a major logistics firm across the coast. I know how to read a balance sheet. But suddenly, to my son, I was just a confused old man who could not be trusted with his own money. So, I decided to test him. I decided to find out if I had a son or just a vulture waiting patiently for me to die. I took a deep breath, dialed his number, and tried to sound like the very thing he thought I was. A broken, helpless old man. The phone rang twice. "Dad." Julian's voice was sharp. He always sounds incredibly busy. "Julian." "It is Dad." I made my voice crack. I let a sob catch in my throat. "Son, I am in terrible trouble." I heard a muffled sound like he had put his hand over the receiver. I could faintly hear Chloe's voice in the background. "What is it now?" He came back on, his voice dripping with fake concern. "Dad, what is wrong? Are you okay?" "No." "So, I am not okay." I let the tears come. They were not entirely fake. The idea of this betrayal was painful enough. "I made a mistake, Julian. A terrible mistake." "What mistake, Dad? What are you talking about?" "An investment. A friend. Someone I deeply trusted. He promised huge returns. I put everything in Julian. All the money from the house sale, my retirement savings." I paused, letting him fill in the blank. "And the inheritance from Thomas. I put it all in. I thought I could double it, leave you and Chloe so much more. I wanted to provide." "Dad." "Wait." His voice was suddenly tight, focused. "You invested the inheritance money. All of it." "Yes." I cried. "And it is gone, Julian. It was a massive scam. The company, the man, all of it. Gone. They are taking the apartment. I am standing on the sidewalk. I have nothing left. I have just got this one suitcase." The silence on the other end was deafening. It was not 1 second. It was 3. 3 full seconds where I could hear the gears turning rapidly in his head. I heard Chloe whisper again. "What?" "All of it." I could picture them, him looking at her, his eyes wide with horror, not for me, but for the lost fortune. Then the mask slipped on. Julian's voice returned, suddenly overflowing with warmth and love. It was disgusting. Oh my God. Dad, that is horrible. But listen to me. Do not you worry about a thing. Money is just money. You are what is important. I almost dropped the phone. He was incredibly good. He was a very good liar. You mean that? I whispered, playing my part. Of course I mean it. You are my father. You can come live with us. Clue and I, we have got you. We will take care of you. You will never have to worry about anything again. Just get in a cab and come over right now. The relief that washed over me was genuine. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe my son really did love me. Maybe I was just a cynical, suspicious old fool. Thank you, Julian, I said, my voice thick with real emotion. God, thank you. I do not know what to say. Do not say anything, Dad. Just come home. But the nagging doubt remained. That 3-second pause. I had to know for absolute sure. I had to push it one last time. I cannot, son. I look a mess. I am ashamed and it is late. I do not want to bother you and Chloe tonight. I will just find a cheap motel or something. I will come by in the morning. Yes. I will see you tomorrow morning. This time, the pause was completely different. It was not shock. It was profound relief. Tomorrow morning. He repeated as if tasting the words. I heard Chloe whisper frantically. Yes. Yes. Tomorrow is perfect. Tell him tomorrow. Julian cleared his throat. You know what, Dad? That is actually a great idea. It gives us time to prepare your room. Get everything perfect for you. Yes. Tomorrow morning is perfect. You get some rest tonight. We will see you tomorrow. Okay. We love you, Dad. He hung up before I could say another word. I stood there on the sidewalk. The California humidity sticking my shirt to my back, the warmth in my chest was completely gone, replaced by a solid block of ice. Tomorrow morning is perfect. Why? Why was tomorrow better than tonight? If your father, who you supposedly love, is homeless on the street, why would you let him sleep in a cheap motel? Unless you needed the night. You needed time to prepare. Not to prepare a room for me, but to prepare for me. I looked down at my old suitcase. My test was not over. It had just begun. La Yola. I told the driver, and step on it. If tomorrow morning was perfect for them, then 6 in the morning would be a complete disaster. And I was going to be that disaster. The car pulled away, leaving me on the dark. Silent street in La Jolla. 6 in the morning. Even the birds were not awake yet. The streetlights cast long, eerie shadows across the perfectly manicured lawns. Each house was a palace, a monument to wealth, including my son's. I looked at the $2 million house I had helped him buy. The $300,000 down payment had been a generous gift from me and Eleanor. Just a little something to get you started, son, I had said. Now I gripped the handle of my old suitcase, the zipper threatening to bust, and felt like a beggar at the gates. I started walking up the long, curved driveway. The air was thick and humid, and then I saw it. Parked just shy of the 3-car garage. Hidden from the street was a truck. Not a pickup. A full-sized 20-foot moving van. The side of it said Premier Movers in big, bright blue letters. My blood went cold. A moving van. At 6 in the morning, my mind raced. Were they moving? Why had they not told me? Maybe that was the reason they needed the night. To pack. But why sell the house? I walked faster, my suitcase wheels rattling loudly on the stone pavers. As I rounded the corner of the garage, I saw them. The garage door was wide open. Two men built like refrigerators were carefully maneuvering a large piece of furniture out into the dim morning light. My heart stopped. It was not a sofa. It was not a table. It was Eleanor's antique writing desk, the cherry wood desk I had bought for her on our 35th anniversary. The one she sat at every single evening writing her letters. The one she taught Julian to read at when he was just a boy. It was the very last piece of her I had. I had given it to Julian after the funeral, thinking he would cherish it forever. Stop. The word tore out of my throat. A dry, cracked scream. Put that down. What are you doing with that? The two movers froze. Startled, one of them nearly dropped his end. Hey, man, I did not let him finish. I dropped my suitcase. It clattered to the ground. I ran. I was not a 72-year-old man anymore. I was a husband, a father, and I was furious. I shoved past them, not caring, and burst through the open garage door and into the utility room. Julian. Chloe. I ran into the main house, into the grand foyer that I had once admired, and I almost passed out. It was empty. The house was completely, utterly empty. I stood there gasping for breath. The living room to my left, where my grandfather's maritime painting used to hang over the marble fireplace. Barry walls. White sterile gaps where the paintings had been. The floor where a priceless Persian rug used to be. Just cold tile. The dining room. The massive mahogany table I had given them as a wedding gift. Gone. The crystal chandelier gone. Replaced by a bare bulb hanging from a wire. The house echoed. My own breathing sounded like a storm. It smelled of nothing. Of cleaning solution and paint. They had wiped the entire place clean. And then I heard her. I do not care what he offered. The voice came from the kitchen. I walked forward, my legs feeling like lead. Chloe. My daughter-in-law. She was standing at the center of the massive empty kitchen. Illuminated by the harsh fluorescent lights above, she was wearing a silk robe and holding a cordless phone to her ear. She was facing away from me, yelling at someone. Just sell it. Sell the electronics. Sell the patio furniture. Sell everything before noon. We need that money liquid today. She turned. Maybe hearing my step, she saw me. She did not gasp. She did not look surprised. Her face went through a rapid, terrifying transformation. It was not the panic of being caught in a simple lie. It was the pure, unadulterated terror of a master plan collapsing. Her eyes widened. Her mouth fell open. And the phone slipped from her fingers, clattering loudly onto the granite countertop. Arthur. Shashriket. Her voice a pitch higher than I had ever heard it. Oh my God. What are you doing here? You said tomorrow morning. Dad. Julian yelled. He was not running to me. He was running at me. He skidded to a halt on the empty tile floor, his face pale and clammy. He was wearing an expensive silk pajama set, the kind I knew Chloe picked out, and his hair was sticking up in sweaty clumps. He looked like he had seen a ghost. Dad. You are early, he stammered, his eyes darting from me to Chloe, then to the empty spaces where his life used to be. I am right on time for whatever this is, I said, my voice low. Chloe said you were selling everything. What about Eleanor's desk? I saw them carrying it out. Julian visibly flinched at the mention of his mother. Good. He should. He suddenly burst into a laugh. It was a terrible sound, high-pitched and cracking. Oh, that Dad? You were not supposed to see this. It is a surprise. He grabbed Chloe. who was still frozen by the kitchen counter, and pulled her into an awkward side hug. She looked at him like he was insane. We were making a surprise. Were we not, honey? He prompted, squeezing her arm too tightly. Clue. Catching his cue. Forced a watery dattery-datteris. Unconvincing smile. A surprise. Yes. For you, Arthur. A welcome home surprise. I just stared at them. I looked around the echoing empty foyer. A surprise by emptying the entire house. You sold the rugs. We are redecorating. Julian announced, spreading his arms wide, as if presenting a masterpiece instead of an empty void. We are renovating for you. We wanted everything to be perfect for when you moved in. A fresh start. Right. New paint. New furniture. The whole deal. Renovating. I repeated, letting the word hang in the air. By selling my late wife's writing desk to premier movers. Julian's smile faltered. Well, yeah, Dad. That old thing, it was just taking up space in the garage. We figured, you know? Out with the old, in with the new. Chloe nodded eagerly, finding her footing in the lie. We are going for a more minimalist, modern look, Arthur. That desk. It just clashed. It was very dark. Clashed. My 35th anniversary gift to my wife. The desk she sat at writing letters during her last few weeks. It clashed. I felt the rage building. A hot poker in my chest. But I shoved it down. I had to play the part. I had to see this through. I pointed to the empty cavern of the dining room and the grand piano I had bought them for their wedding. Did that clash too? Julian could not meet my eyes. He looked at the floor. The piano was just too big. Dad, it really dominated the room. We got a great price for it though. And that money, he said, brightening, is going right back into the renovation for your room. They were pathological. They were standing in a morgue of their own making, lying about the funeral. They were selling every valuable thing they owned. Things I had given them, and trying to spin it as a favor to me. Look, Julian said, suddenly changing tactics. He put his arm around my shoulder, his voice dropping to that fake sympathetic tone I now recognized. You look exhausted, Dad. You have had a terrible shock. You told us you lost everything. You are probably not thinking straight. I am not thinking straight. I thought, I am the only one here who is. But I let my shoulders slump. I leaned into him, playing the part of the defeated old man. You are right, son. I mumbled, I am so tired. My head is just spinning. Say, he said, patting my back with false tenderness. You just need to rest. Let me show you to your room. We got it all ready for you. The best room in the house. He started guiding me away from the kitchen. Away from Chloe, who was already back on her phone, probably negotiating the price for the refrigerator. The best room, he repeated, his voice light with relief. Quiet. Private. You will love it. This was it. I let him lead me. I wanted to see what the best room looked like in a house that was being stripped bare. We walked through the empty foyer. I looked up the grand curving staircase. That is where the bedrooms were. The guest suite. The master. Julian's office. But Julian did not go up the stairs. He walked right past them. My stomach tightened. Julian. Where are we going? The bedrooms are upstairs. Oh. I know, Dad, he said with that terrible bright cheerfulness. But we are painting up there. The fumes. You cannot sleep with those fumes. Not with your health. No. We set you up somewhere much better. Much more private. He led me down the hallway, past the powder room, past the pantry, to a single narrow door at the very end of the hall. A door I only ever saw the housekeeper use. He put his hand on the knob. It was not the door to the guest suite. It was not an office. It was the door to the basement. He turned the knob and pulled the door open. The smell hit me first. It was not the sharp chemical smell of fresh paint. It was the smell of the earth, the smell of damp concrete, mildew, and something old, of something rotten. A cold, musty draft snaked up the stairs from the darkness and wrapped around my ankles. I physically recoiled. Taking a step back, Julian, sensing my hesitation, kept his hand firmly on my back. I stared down the narrow, unfinished wooden stairs into the dim light below. "This is my room." My voice did not sound like my own. It sounded thin, weak. It sounded like the old man they believed me to be. "Just for now, Dad. Just temporary," Julian said, his voice echoing with that horrible fake cheerfulness. He was talking too fast, his words stumbling over each other. "The fumes upstairs, oh my God. The fumes. We just painted your room. The master suite. Just for you. And the smell is awful. You know, with your health. We did not want you breathing that in. This is much quieter. Too much more private. Just until the paint dries. A day or two tops." He reached past me and flipped a switch. A single bare bulb flickered to life at the bottom of the stairs, casting long, grotesque shadows. It was not a room. It was a corner. A concrete-walled corner of their unfinished dungeon-like basement. I saw the massive squat furnace squatting against the far wall like an iron beast. Next to it, the water heater hissed softly, radiating a suffocating close heat. And shoved between them was a cot. Not a bed. A rusty metal-framed cot. The kind you see in army surplus stores. The mattress on it was thin, maybe 2 inches thick. And I could see the dark, ugly stains on it even from the top of the stairs. A single threadbare pillow and a folded gray blanket sat on top. My room. My welcome home. This was not a temporary arrangement. This was a storage space. They were storing me. I felt a wave of dizziness so profound I had to grab the doorframe to steady myself. The lies. The sheer audacity of them. They had not painted anything. They had sold everything. There was no master suite waiting for me. There was only this hole. It is cozy. Is it not? Julian tried, his smile twitching violently at the corners. "We brought this down just for you. It is clean. Clean." The floor was coated in a fine layer of dust. I could see thick cobwebs hanging from the exposed pipes overhead. "Honey," Chloe's voice shrieked from the floor above. "Saving him." The sound was sharp-laced with greed. "Honey, the estate liquidator is here. They have cash. Get up here." Julian looked visibly relieved, like a man pulled back from a ledge. "Gotta go, Dad," he said, giving me a gentle but firm push on the shoulder, urging me down the first step. "Duty calls. You rest up. Settle in. Make yourself at home." He did not wait for me to respond. He did not help me down the stairs. He pulled the door shut, plunging the stairway into almost total darkness, save for the single bulb still buzzing below. The door slammed, the sound echoing loudly in the tiny enclosed space. And then I heard it. A sound that stopped my blood, a sound that confirmed every dark suspicion, every terrible fear I had since that phone call. It was not the soft click of a doorknob latching. It was the heavy metallic thud chunk of a deadbolt sliding into place. A deadbolt from the outside. I froze. One foot hovering over the second step. I waited. Listening. I heard his footsteps hurrying away down the hall. Then muffled voices. Then the sound of Chloe laughing. Laughing. They had not just put me in the basement. They had not just lied to me. They had locked me in. They had locked me in like an animal or a prisoner. I slowly walked down the rest of the steps, my hand gripping the rough, splintery rail. I reached the bottom and walked over to the cot. I sat down. The springs screamed in protest. I looked at the water heater, the furnace, the cold concrete walls. This was not about protecting me from fumes. This was not about redecorating. This was about absolute control. They had lied to get me here. They had isolated me. Now they had imprisoned me. Why? Why go to this length for a man who had, as I had told them, nothing? My mind flashed back to the $12 million sitting in Sterling's account, then to the $1 million life insurance policy. My son. My only son. He had not just failed the test. He was doing something far worse than I could have ever imagined. I stood there for a full minute just staring at the door. The sound of the deadbolt sliding home echoed in the small, damp space. It was a sound of such finality, such intention. My first thought was not anger. It was confusion. He locked it. He actually locked it. I reached out and tried the knob. It turned uselessly in my hand. The door was solid, heavy. I pushed. It did not budge. Now the anger came. A hot white flash that surged from my gut. Julian. I hammered on the door with the side of my fist. The solid wood barely vibrated. Julian opened the door. What are you doing? The door is locked. I pressed my ear against the wood. Silence. Then I heard it muffled from the floor above. Laughter. It was Chloe. A high, bright, tinkling laugh. It was the sound she always made when she closed a lucrative deal. I had heard it at charity auctions, at the dealership when she got her new SUV. She was laughing. They were not panicking. They were not running back to fix the jammed lock. They were ignoring me. Julian. Chloe. Let me out of here. This is not funny. Open this damn door. I slammed my palm against it again and again, until my hand stung. Nothing. The only sound was the faint hum of the water heater beside me and the distant, cheerful sounds of my life's possessions being auctioned off upstairs. I stopped. Yelling was pointless. They knew I was here. They had put me here. I stumbled back and sank onto the cot. The springs screamed under my weight. Aruste. Mournful sound. I looked around at my prison. The bare bulb. The concrete walls stained with decades of dampness. The cobwebs. This was it. This was my reward. I thought back. 40 years. 40 years of getting up before dawn. Driving to the shipyards. 40 years of negotiating freight. Dealing with storms. And balancing books until midnight. I built that business from nothing. I turned it into a massive international operation. I had provided a life for them. A life Julian clearly took for granted. I paid for his private university. A degree in business administration that he barely used. I paid for the wedding. God! That wedding. Chloe had insisted on the most exclusive cliffside resort. On rare flowers flown in. 400 guests. I had signed the check for $100,000. Wincing, while my wife Eleanor, sweet, practical Eleanor. He just squeezed my hand and said, "It is what he wants. Arthur, just let him be happy." I had always suspected Chloe. She came from nothing. But she had an appetite for absolutely everything. She saw Julian not as a man, but as an inheritance, a future payout. And Julian was weak. He always had been. Eleanor had spoiled him, protected him from every consequence. When he came to me 4 years ago with his brilliant tech logistics startup idea, I knew it would fail. It had no foundation, no solid plan, but he was my son, and he had brought Chloe, who looked at me with those wide, pleading eyes. So I had given them the money. $300,000. It is just a loan, Dad. He had said, I will pay you back double in a year. The company folded in 8 months. I never saw a single dime. And now this. I was sitting in a basement locked in by the very people I had spent my entire life supporting. I was a multi-millionaire with $12 million waiting in an account, and I was trapped in a cellar being treated like garbage. The irony was so bitter, it made me want to laugh, just like Chloe was laughing upstairs. They thought I was broke. They thought I had nothing. So why? Why lock me in? A penniless, grieving old man is not a threat. You humor him. You feed him. You let him wander around the empty house until you get tired of him. You do not lock him in the basement. Unless you do not want him to leave. Unless you need him for something. My eyes scanned the dark, cluttered room. They had been so eager to get me down here. So sloppy in their haste. And that is when I saw it. Tucked in the corner, half hidden by an old paint-splattered tarp, was Julian's old college desk. The one they could not even sell. And on top of it, missed by the movers, missed by Chloe's greedy eyes, was a piece of mail. A single white envelope, crumpled and torn, that they had failed to throw away. The hours passed like cold, slow dripping water. The single bare bulb buzzed overhead. A constant irritating sound. The house above me went from chaotic noise, the scraping of furniture, the heavy thumps of movers, to an unsettling silence. They were gone. The movers, the buyers, everyone. It was just me and them. I did not yell again. I saved my energy. I sat on that cot, my back aching from the thin mattress. And I just thought, I let the cold logic of a businessman take over from the hot grief of a father. They thought I was broke. They were selling everything they owned. They had locked me in the basement. These 3 facts did not add up. They contradicted each other. My thoughts were interrupted by the sound I was now dreading. The heavy chunk of the deadbolt sliding back. The door opened. Chloe stood there silhouetted against the hallway light. She was no longer in her silk robe. She was dressed in expensive athleisure wear and a designer top, her hair pulled back in a tight ponytail. She looked annoyed, as if this was a chore she had not signed up for. She flicked on the main basement light, a harsh fluorescent tube that made the room look even more grim. In her hand, she held a small tray. "Oh, Arthur," she said, her voice flat. "Bored. You are awake. Good?" She walked down the steps, her expensive sneakers silent on the wood. She placed the tray on the dusty floor next to my cot. It was a small bowl of watery, pale yellow soup and a single piece of dry bread. A meal for a prisoner. "I am so sorry about that door," she said, not looking at me, but at the wall just past my head. That stupid lock. It just jams sometimes. Julian keeps forgetting to call a locksmith. It is so old. The lie was so lazy, so insulting. I almost had to admire it. She did not even care if I believed her. She was just saying words. "You must be hungry." She continued her tone, the one you would use on a child or a simpleton. "Eat up. You need to keep your strength." "Why am I down here, Chloe?" I asked, my voice a low rumble. She finally looked at me. Her eyes were like chips of glass. "We told you, Arthur. The paint? The fumes are terrible." Julian is just so worried about your health. The movers are gone." I stated. "The house is empty." Her smile tightened. "Yes. The first phase of the redecorating is done. Now the painters come in tomorrow. It is going to be a mess. You are much better off down here. Trust me." It is quiet. She turned to leave. "Try to get some rest. Tomorrow is a big day." She walked up the stairs. She pulled the door shut. I listened. Click. The sound of the simple doorknob latch. But no deadbolt. She had not locked it. A new cold dread washed over me. Why not lock it this time? Was it a mistake, or was the game changing? Maybe they wanted me to come out. No. That did not make sense. Maybe they just thought I was too broken. Too old. And defeated to even try. They thought I had accepted my prison. I waited a full 10 minutes until I was sure she was gone. I pushed the foul-smelling soup away with my foot. I was not eating their poison. My eyes scanned the room again. That dusty old desk in the corner. That crumpled envelope. I got up from the cot. My bones protesting. I walked over to the desk. Julian's old college textbooks were piled on it thick with dust. And there it was. An envelope from Pacific Coast Bank. Their mortgage lender. It was addressed to Julian and Chloe Pendleton. It had been torn open. Read. And then carelessly tossed aside. They had missed it in their panicked clean-out. My hands were shaking as I pulled out the single-folded sheet of paper. I did not even need to read the whole thing. The words at the top in big, bold red letters said it all. Final foreclosure notice. I sank into the rickety wooden chair by the desk. My legs giving out. I read the details. My blood turning to ice. They had not paid their mortgage in 8 months. They owed the bank a staggering amount in arrears. The bank had scheduled a public auction. The date of the auction was in 12 days. It all clicked into place. But in the wrong way? The moving van. The selling of the piano. The sofa. Eleanor's desk. It was not a renovation. It was a complete liquidation. They were broke. Utterly. Completely destitute. They were selling every last thing they owned for cash before the bank seized it all. But that made no sense. My original question came back hitting me like a freight train. If they were the ones who were broke, why lock me up? Why in God's name would you invite a homeless, penniless, 72-year-old man, another mouth to feed, into your home just days before you were about to be thrown out onto the street yourself? It was illogical. It was insane. Unless they did not think I was a burden, unless they thought I was the solution, they needed something from me. Something they thought a broke, desperate old man would willingly sign away. I did not sleep. I could not. I sat on that musty cot in the buzzing silence of the basement. The foreclosure notice clutched in my hand. It was a puzzle. And the pieces were all wrong. 1. They were broke. Not just tight on cash broke. But lose the house in 12 days broke. Tfo. They were liquidating everything. Selling the piano. The furniture. Even Eleanor's desk for fast cash before the bank seized it all. 3. They had invited me. A supposedly homeless, penniless old man. To come live with them. These 3 facts could not exist together. You do not take on more burden when you are sinking. You do not offer a room to your destitute father when you will not even have a roof over your own head in 2 weeks. It was insane. I replayed the phone call. Julian's 3-second hesitation when I said I was broke. His relief when I said I would come tomorrow. They had not taken me in despite being broke. They had taken me in because I was broke. They needed me for something. They needed the one thing a desperate homeless old man has left. His identity. His signature. The house above me was silent for hours. I heard them go to bed. The house creaked. The water heater next to me gave a loud groan and then fell silent. I must have dozed off sitting upright because I was jolted awake by new sounds. Footsteps pacing right above my head in the kitchen. Then, voices. Not yelling. Whispering. The sound was urgent. Frantic. I slid off the cot. My joints screaming in protest. I crept to the bottom of the stairs and pressed my ear against the cold, solid wood of the locked door. The sound was clearer here. It was Julian and Chloe. They were having a fight. I do not know why you are whispering. He is asleep down there. That was Chloe. Her whisper was like a snake's hiss. Sharp and terrified, because he is not deaf. Chloe, just keep your voice down. That was Julian. It is all under control. Under control, she hissed back. Julian. That was the bank's final notice. We have 12 days. The movers took everything of value. We have maybe $25,000. That is not enough to stop this. They are going to auction our house. It will be enough. Julian's voice was low, hard, and cold. I had never heard him use this tone before. It is a bridge. It is just to keep us going until the real money comes in. What real money, Julian? What are you talking about? Your startup failed. We have absolutely nothing. We have him. Julian said. I felt my blood freeze. The consultant. Mercer. He is coming tomorrow. Julian continued. I told you it is all arranged. The paperwork is ready. All Dad has to do is sign. Sign what? What if he will not? What if he reads it? Chloe was practically hyperventilating. He will sign Chloe. He's a broken old man. He thinks he is a burden. He will sign whatever I put in front of him if he thinks it will help us. But what is it, Julian? You never told me exactly what it is. It is a comprehensive elder assistance form. Julian said smoothly. Standard procedure for his situation. It just gives us the ability to manage his affairs, help him get back on his feet. And the bank. Are you sure this form will be enough to stop the foreclosure? The bank will not wait, Julian. The bank does not matter. Julian snapped. Forget the house. This is not about the house. The house is gone. This is about what comes next. Once I have his signature, I can leverage the asset. What asset? Chloe schriekt. You said he lost everything. You said the bank took his apartment. The bank did take his apartment. Julian's voice was sharp. Impatient. He has no money. He has no property. He told us he is destitute. That is why he has to sign. He has no other choice. There was a pause. I could almost hear Chloe thinking. Connecting the dots. The insurance policy. She whispered. Eleanor's policy. $1 million. Julian whispered back. And the greed in his voice was so naked, so rough. It made me sick to my stomach. Mercer says, once I have power of attorney, I can use it as collateral for a new loan. A big loan. Enough to get us out of here, out of this state, and start over. All he has to do is sign that one little form. I leaned my head against the door. My heart was pounding. Not with fear, but with a cold, clear rage. It was not a rescue. It was a harvest. They were going to strip mine my last remaining asset, my life insurance. And they were using my fake poverty as the weapon to do it. A comprehensive elder assistance form. I knew exactly what that was. It was fraud. It was a power of attorney. It was a trap. And tomorrow, I was going to walk right into it. But I was not going to be the one getting caught. I had my target. A senior assistance form. And I had my motive. A $1 million life insurance policy they planned to leverage as collateral. The foreclosure on their house was not the crisis. It was just the catalyst. My supposed homelessness was the opportunity. I knew what I had to do. They thought I was a broken, helpless old man. Fine. I would give them the performance of a lifetime. I would be the most broken, most helpless, most trusting old man they had ever seen. I practiced. I sat on that cot in the damp darkness, letting the genuine pain of their betrayal seep into me. I thought about Eleanor. I thought about the decades we had built only for her son to trade it all for a quick loan. I let the real tears well up. I let my shoulders slump. I practiced shuffling my feet when I walked, letting my hands tremble just slightly. By the time I heard the deadbolt slide back in the morning, I was no longer Arthur Pendleton, founder of Pendleton Shipping. I was a ghost. Julian opened the door. He was freshly showered, wearing a clean polo shirt. He was obviously preparing for his day of liquidating his assets. He had a tray in his hand. This time, it was not just watery soup. There was a piece of toast, maybe even some jelly. The condemned man's last meal. He saw me sitting on the cot just staring at the concrete wall. I did not even look up when he entered. "Dad," he said, his voice hesitant. "I brought breakfast." I turned my head slowly. I let him see my eyes, red-rimmed and empty. I let my voice quaver. "What is the point, Julian?" I whispered. I did not even look at the food. "What is the point of eating?" "Dad, do not talk like that. You had a shock." "It is understandable." "A shock?" I gave a dry, bitter laugh. "I have nothing, son. 72 years and I have nothing. I am a burden. I am just a useless old man sitting in your basement." I put my face in my hands. "Maybe it would be better if I just, No," he said a little too quickly. The panic in his voice was real. Not panic for my well-being. Panic that his $1 million asset was about to walk off a pier. He rushed over and put the tray down. Sitting on the cot next to me, the Springs groaned. "Dad, do not you ever say that." He put his arm around me. The gesture felt like a spider crawling on my skin. "You are not a burden. We want you here. Clue and I, we love you. We will take care of you. You just need help. You cannot manage things on your own right now." I looked up at him, my eyes wide with feigned hope. "You really mean that?" "Of course I do, Dad. I think you are right, Julian," I whispered, wiping a fake tear from my cheek. "I cannot do this alone. I tried to be smart with that investment, and I just cannot think straight anymore. My head is all foggy. I need help. I think I need you to help me." I watched his face. The tiny muscles around his eyes tightened. His pupils dilated just slightly. It was the look of a predator seeing its prey walk right into the snare. A flash of greedy, triumphant light that he tried to cover with a mask of concern. "Oh, Dad," he said, hugging me tighter. Of course. I will help you." He pulled back, his face a perfect picture of filial duty. "That is why I already made a call. I have scheduled an appointment for tomorrow. We are going to see a financial consultant, a specialist. He helps people in exactly your situation, seniors who need assistance." "A consultant?" I asked, playing dumb. "Yes. A Mr. Maida Dalm. Mercer. He works with the state. With all the assistance programs, he will know what forms we need to fill out, what benefits you are eligible for. He will help us get everything structured. So, I can take care of all the bills, all the paperwork. You will not have to worry your foggy old head about a single thing ever again." "Oh, dagam." "Julian," I said, letting the tears flow freely now. "You would do that for me." "I would do anything for you, Dad. Whatever you say, son, I said, slumping against him. The picture of defeat? Whatever you think is best. I trust you. I will sign whatever he says. His arm tightened around me, and this time it was not a comforting hug. It was a hug of possession. Of victory. That is great, Dad. That is great. You just rest. Tomorrow, we will get everything sorted out. He left the basement whistling. He had not just taken the bait, he had swallowed the hook, the line, and the sinker. He whistled as he went up the stairs. A happy, jaunty tune. The sound of a man who had just closed a deal. The sound of my son who believed he had just successfully conned his grieving, destitute father into signing away his future. He pulled the door shut. I heard the click of the latch. He had not locked the deadbolt this time. He did not need to. I was a fish on the hook flopping in the bottom of the boat. He thought I was beaten. He thought I was his. I waited. I counted to 300. Listening. I heard the front door of the house open and close. I heard Chloe's high-end SUV start up its engine. A low, satisfied purr. Then Julian's sports car, a louder, obnoxious roar as he peeled out of the driveway. They were gone. Probably off to celebrate, off to spend the last of the money they got for Eleanor's desk. The second the garage door rumbled shut, I moved. The slumped, defeated old man vanished. I was no longer a victim. I was Arthur Pendleton, the man who built a logistics empire from nothing, and I was not going to be taken down by my own spoiled sociopathic son. I went to my old worn-out suitcase, the one they had carelessly tossed into the corner by the wheezing water heater. I knelt, my 72-year-old knees protesting on the cold concrete. I tore at the lining in the back, a flap I had glued down myself years ago for emergencies just like this. Taped to the hard shell was my real emergency kit, a burner phone, an old-school anonymous flip phone, and a prepaid credit card with a $10,000 limit. They knew nothing about either of them. I flipped the phone open. The small green screen glowed a beacon in the dim basement. I had one call to make. My lawyer for 30 years, Mr. Sterling. Sterling was not a family lawyer you called for wills. He was a shark. He was the man I hired when I had to sue international suppliers who tried to cheat me. He was the man who ate breach of contract lawsuits for breakfast. And I was about to tell him where the blood was. He answered on the second ring. His voice always crisp, impatient, like a freshly printed $100 bill. Sterling speaking. Sterling. It is Arthur. Arthur Pendleton. I kept my voice low. Adez. Even though the house was empty, I am at Julian's house. I am in his basement. To be exact, there was a pause. Arthur. What on earth are you doing in his basement? I thought you were taking a vacation with that $12 million. I was just looking at the transfer confirmations. Did something happen? There is no time for that, I said, standing up, beginning to pace the small, dusty patch of clear floor. Sterling. They are about to go bankrupt. I am looking at a foreclosure notice right now. They are selling every stick of furniture in the house as we speak. They think I am broke. I told them I lost everything, just like we discussed. Good God. Arthur. I heard the scrape of his chair. He was sitting up straight now. This is escalating. They took the bait. But what is the play? What do they want from a broke man? They are trying to force me to sign something. I said the words tasting like ash in my mouth. Tomorrow morning, they are calling it a comprehensive elder assistance form. They have got some consultant named Mercer bringing it over. They told me he works with the state. I heard Sterling let out a short privacy. Sharp, disgusted sigh. The sound was pure contempt. May God. Arthur, that is the oldest, moldiest trick in the book. It smells like elder fraud from a mile away. A senior assistance form does not exist. Not officially. He is bringing you a disguised asset transfer agreement, or a durable power of attorney. That is what I figured, I said, gripping the phone so tightly my knuckles were white. But here is the part that is eating at me, Sterling. Why? Why go to all this trouble for a man who has nothing? I told them I am destitute. They believe the 12 million is gone. They believe the bank took my apartment. They think I am worthless. Why would they need my power of attorney if I have no power? What asset could I possibly have left to transfer? The line was quiet for a moment. I could hear the faint rhythmic tap 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 of Sterling's expensive pen on his mahogany desk. He was thinking, "Because you are not worthless, Arthur," Sterling said slowly, his voice dark and measured. They are not trying to get what you have. They are trying to get what you are. They think you have no cash, no property. But you still have an identity. You still have a credit history. You still have a life. What does that mean, Sterling? What are you saying? It means they are not after your bank account, Arthur. They are after your signature. They are after collateral. Sterling paused again. And this time the pause was heavy. Dreadful. Arthur, do you have a life insurance policy? The air left my lungs. Of course. Eleanor. We took them out decades ago when Julian was just a boy. A simple policy, enough to make sure the other was taken care of. I had not thought about it in years. Yes, I whispered, sinking onto the edge of the cot. Yes, I do. The one Eleanor and I set up. I think it is $1 million. Julian is the sole beneficiary. There it is, Sterling said, his voice grim. That is the target. My hand was shaking so badly, the burner phone nearly slipped from my grasp. Yes. I said the word catching in my throat. Yes. I do. An old policy. The one Eleanor and I took out, God, decades ago when Julian was born, just in case. And who to? Sterling asked, his voice low and deadly serious. Is the beneficiary? Julian. I whispered. He is the sole beneficiary. It is $1 million. There it is. Sterling said. The words landed like a judge's gavel. That is the asset. That is the target. But Sterling. How I was struggling to keep up. Even if they get my signature, even if they get power of attorney, they cannot take my life insurance. It only pays out if I am dead. You are not thinking like a criminal, Arthur. Sterling's voice was sharp, cutting through my confusion. They are not trying to cash it. Not yet. They are trying to leverage it. If Julian gets financial power of attorney, he can walk into a bank with that policy. A guaranteed ironclad $1 million asset, and use it as collateral for a massive high-risk loan. The loan he needs to escape the foreclosure. He is not trying to manage your affairs, Arthur. He is trying to steal your future. I leaned my head back against the cold, damp concrete wall. The logic was sickening. It was perfect. They would get the loan, default on it, and flee, leaving the lender to claim the policy whenever I eventually passed away. It was a clean, brutal theft. So that is it, I said, feeling a strange, cold numbness. They are going to steal my last $1 million. No, Arthur, Sterling said, and the chill in his voice was far worse than the basement air. It is worse than that. You are assuming they are only after the financial POA. That senior assistance form scam. It is almost always a package deal. What package? They do not just get control of your money, Arthur. They get control of you. They will slip in the medical power of attorney as well. The durable power of attorney for healthcare. Medical. I repeated, my mind still stuck on the money. Why would they? What does that do? It means, Sterling said, and he spoke each word slowly, as if explaining it to a child, that Julian would have the legal right to make all medical decisions on your behalf. If you are ever incapacitated. The room suddenly felt 10 degrees colder. The hum of the water heater faded into a distant roar. Incapacitated. He could put me in a home? I stammered, the first horrifying thought forming. He could put me in a cheap psychiatric facility and just let me rot. Worse. Sterling said, his voice flat. A nursing home costs money. That eats into their new loan. No. Think about it, Arthur. You are 72. You are, as far as they know, depressed, destitute, and a burden. You are the perfect candidate for a tragic accident. The phone felt slippery in my hand. I could not breathe. A fall down the stairs. Sterling continued painting the picture in stark legal terms. An accidental overdose of sleeping pills. Something that puts you in the hospital. Something that makes you incapacitated. My heart was hammering, a frantic bird trapped in my ribs. And once you are there? Sterling's voice was barely a whisper now. Once you are on a ventilator. Who has the sole legal authority to make the tough decision? I could not speak. Who gets to tell the doctors? He would not have wanted to live this way. The realization hit me. It was not a push. It was a physical blow. I dropped the phone. It clattered onto the concrete floor. They were not planning to borrow against the policy. They were planning to collect aid. This was not about stealing from me. This was about murdering me. The senior assistance form was not a theft. It was my death warrant. May God. I whispered to the empty, musty room. He was planning to kill me. The locked door. The isolation. The accidental fall down these dark, rickety basement stairs. It was all right there. They were not just thieves. They were monsters. I picked the phone back up. Sterling. I am here, Arthur. I am so sorry. Do not be. I said, and my voice had changed. The weakness was gone. The fear was gone. All that was left was ice. Do not be sorry. Be ready. I need you to do exactly what I say. I am not just a victim anymore. Sterling, I am the bait. And tomorrow morning, we are springing the trap. This was not about my money anymore. This was not even about my pride. This was about my life. And I was going to fight for it. I need proof, Sterling. I said, my voice now perfectly level. All the fear, all the weakness. It was gone, burned away by pure cold rage. I need irrefutable proof. I need them on tape. A recording, Arthur. A wiretap is not a wiretap. I cut him off. I'm going to set up cameras. Nanny cams. I need to catch them in the act. The consultant is coming tomorrow. I need every word. Every signature on video. That is a bold move, Arthur. You are a civilian in their house. How are you going to get the equipment? I am not as helpless as they think. I said, looking at the prepaid credit card in my hand. I have my ways. All right, Sterling said. His voice was all business now. He understood. Do it. Get me the evidence. I will start drafting the complaints. I am going to check on this Mercer character. I will bet my license he is a disbarred fraudster. You get me that video, Arthur. Get it and then get out. I am not getting out, I said, my hand closing into a fist. I am ending this tomorrow. I hung up. I did not waste a second. I flipped open the burner phone and using its slow, clumsy browser, I found what I needed. A local San Diego security and spy shop. The kind of place that sold hidden microphones and GPS trackers. Their website was gaudy, but their service was exactly what I needed. Discreet same-day delivery. Guaranteed 3-hour window. My fingers flew over the tiny keypad. My hands, which had trembled with fear and grief just an hour ago, were now rock steady. I was Arthur Pendleton again. Placing a rush order for materials, I did not order just one. I ordered 3. 1. A small black cube that looked like a high-end Bluetooth speaker that would go in the living room where the meeting would happen. Des Arkin. A simple USB wall charger. The kind everyone has. That would go in Julian's office. I had a feeling I knew where he kept the real paperwork. And 3. A digital alarm clock. Modern. Sleek. With a dark, reflective face. That one was for their bedroom. I needed to know everything. I needed to see exactly what kind of monsters my son and his wife had become when they thought no one was watching. I entered the prepaid credit card number, set the delivery address to Julian's house, and put urgent hold for A. Pendleton in the delivery notes. I selected the 2 to 4 p.m. window. Now I had to wait and I had to get out of this basement. I heard the front door slam upstairs. They were back. I quickly hid the phone and the credit card back in my suitcase lining. I lay down on the cot, turned my face to the wall, and feigned a deep, exhausted sleep. The basement door opened. Click. I heard Julian's footsteps. Dad. Dad. You asleep? I did not move. I just let out a long, slow, broken sigh in my sleep. Good. I heard him whisper. He did not come down. The door clicked shut again. They would not bother me. I was just the sad old furniture in the corner. The afternoon dragged on. Tfo. 2:30. My entire body was tense. I listened to them moving around upstairs. They were quiet. Too quiet. Probably planning. At 3:15 p.m., I heard the doorbell. This was it. I heard Julian go to the door. Muffled voices. Then Julian's voice slightly annoyed. What? A.W.W. Pendleton. Oh. Yeah. That is for me. A late birthday gift. Thanks. I heard the door close. I heard the sound of a box being placed on the floor. Now I just needed them to leave. I did not have to wait long. At 3:45, I heard Chloe. Julian. Let us go. We have to meet the jeweler before he closes. I want to get a good price for my mother's ring. I am coming. I am coming. I heard Julian say, Dad is asleep. We will be back in an hour. The front door slammed. The garage rumbled. Their cars peeled out of the driveway. I was up in an instant. I unlocked the simple latch. They still had not deadbolted it, so sure of my broken spirit. I flew up the stairs. The house was an echoing tomb. I found the box on the foyer floor. I ripped it open. The cameras were there. Small. Efficient. Deadly. I went to the living room. They had dragged 2 cheap patio chairs and a card table into the middle of the room for the meeting. Pathetic. I saw the built-in bookshelf. I placed the Bluetooth speaker on the 3rd shelf angled perfectly toward the chairs. It blended in seamlessly. Next. Upstairs. Julian's office. Just as I suspected, the door was locked. He was hiding his mess. I looked at the handle. It was a cheap interior lock. I went back to the basement, grabbed a thin piece of metal from my old toolkit, a shim I used for fixing lock sets at the shipping yards, and returned. 30 seconds. The lock snicked open. The room was a disaster. Not just messy. It was the room of a desperate man. Piles of overdue bills on the desk, angry red letters from creditors, A half-empty bottle of scotch. I saw the wall socket right by the desk. I unplugged his phone charger and plugged in the USB charger camera. It faced his computer. His desk. His chair. Perfect. Last. The bedroom. I felt sick walking in. The air was thick with Chloe's expensive cloying perfume. The bed was unmade. I saw the digital clock on her bedside table. I unplugged it, swapped it with the new camera clock, and plugged it in. The red numbers 3:58 p.m. glowed to life. It was identical. I was out of the room, back down the stairs, and back in the basement in less than 15 minutes. I pulled the basement door shut. I sat on my cot in the dim light. I took out my burner phone and connected to the cameras one by one. The images flickered to life. 1. The empty living room waiting for the meeting. 2. The disastrous office desk. 3. The unmade bed. I had eyes everywhere. I smiled. It was a cold, hard smile. The smile of a man who was about to watch his enemies destroy themselves. "Okay, Julian," I whispered to the empty room. "Okay, Chloe. Tomorrow morning, you are on camera. Let us see you lie your way out of this." I did not sleep. I could not. I sat on that musty cot, the burner phone clutched in my hand, my thumb hovering over the app. The house was silent for hours. They came back late. I heard them. No laughter this time. Just low, tense voices. I heard the front door closed. Their footsteps heading upstairs. I heard their bedroom door shut. I waited 10 minutes. Then I opened the app. I tapped the icon labeled bedroom clock. The screen flickered, then resolved. There they were. My son and his wife. The image was grainy black and white from the night vision, but it was perfectly clear. They were in their bedroom. Julian was pacing by the window, still in the clothes he had worn out. Chloe was sitting on the edge of the unmade bed, rubbing her temples, her face pale and stressed. I turned the phone's volume up just enough to hear, "I do not like this, Julian. I do not like it one bit," Chloe said. Her voice was a strained whisper. "That consultant, Mercer, he looks like a con artist. He is a con artist, Chloe." Julian snapped, not even looking at her. "That is why I hired him. He is a professional. He will get it done. Stop worrying. Stop worrying. What if your father reads the papers? He is not stupid, Julian. He built a logistics empire from nothing. He was smart," Julian said, turning from the window. "Now he is a 72-year-old grieving wreck who thinks he is destitute. He wants us to take over. He begged me to. He will sign whatever I put in front of him." Chloe shook her head, pulling her knees to her chest. I do not understand why. Why all the risk? The medical forms, the health directives. It is too much. The financial power of attorney is all we need. You said it yourself. Once we have that, we can leverage the $1 million insurance policy for the loan. That is enough. We get the loan. We leave this stupid state. And we are done. Julian stopped pacing. He turned around slowly. The night vision made his eyes look like dark, empty sockets. He stared at his wife for a long, cold moment. "Leverage," he said. His voice was flat, empty. "You are still thinking about leveraging?" "Yes, to get the loan," she said, her voice rising in frustration. "What else is there? It is $1 million. Julian actually laughed. It was a short, sharp, ugly sound that made the hair on my arms stand up. "A loan, Chloe. A loan has to be paid back. A loan is just more debt. You are thinking so small." You are pathetic. Chloe looked stung. Small. What are you talking about? He walked over to her. He did not sit. He loomed over her. I am talking about cash, Chloe. Leveraging the policy gets us maybe 200,000 max, and it is messy. It is a loan. But if he passes away... He let the words hang in the air. I watched Chloe on the screen. She went completely still. Her hands froze on her face. Her eyes widened. Oh, she whispered. Oh my God. Julian. You are talking about... I am talking about reality. He said, his voice dropping to that same cold, rational tone he used when he failed his startup. He is 72 years old. He is depressed. He just lost everything. He is down in that damp, dark basement. Completely alone. Who knows what could happen down there? My heart stopped. I was not breathing. I was watching my own son plot my death. Think about it. Julian continued, his voice terrifyingly calm. A man in his condition. A tragic fall down those rickety basement stairs. Who would question it? Or even simpler. He is depressed. He accidentally takes too many of his heart pills. It is a tragedy. A terrible. Terrible tragedy. Chloe was shaking her head, whispering, No. 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 We would be so devastated. Julian said, ignoring her, sick. Twisted fantasy playing out in his voice. We would grieve. We would hold a beautiful funeral. And then we would collect $1 million. Cash untraceable. Clean. No loans. No running. We would be set for life. He reached out and stroked her hair. All it takes is for him to sign that medical form tomorrow, the one that gives me the power to make his end-of-life decisions. I did not realize I was holding my breath until it escaped me in a single silent gasp. The phone slipped from my hand. It did not fall. I caught it. But my hand was numb. My heart was a block of ice. This was not about theft. This was not about greed. This was about my murder. The senior assistance form was not a trap. It was my death warrant. The locked door, the isolation, the accidental fall down these dark, rickety basement stairs. It was all right there. They were not just thieves. They were monsters. My son, my own son, was planning to kill me. I did not move for an hour. Maybe more. I just sat on that cot in the suffocating darkness, the video of my son plotting my death playing over and over in my mind, the casual way he said it, a tragic fall down those rickety basement stairs, the way Chloe's weak no turned into silent, greedy acceptance. My son, my blood, the little boy I taught to sail, the young man whose college tuition I paid. He was going to murder me for money. The shock was a physical weight pressing down on my chest, making it hard to breathe. I felt a terrifying wave of grief wash over me, so strong I almost choked on it. I was not just losing my money. I was not just losing my son. I was losing my life. And then something else rose up. It was slow, cold, and heavy. It started in my gut and spread through my veins like ice. It was rage. A pure 72-year-old rage. The rage of a man who had built everything from nothing. The rage of a father who had been betrayed in the most final and most sickening way possible. They thought I was a broken-down old man. They thought I was a burden. They thought I was weak. I was not weak. I had spent my entire life fighting. I had fought suppliers who tried to cheat me. I had fought recessions that tried to bankrupt me. I had fought port authorities that tried to shut down my first shipyard. I had won every single one of those fights. I would win this one. I waited until the digital clock on my phone showed 5 in the morning. I waited until I heard the faint sounds of them moving around upstairs, probably getting coffee. preparing for their big day, preparing to kill their father. Then I picked up my burner phone. I pressed one on the speed dial. Sterling answered before the first ring finished. He must have been waiting. "Sterling, I have the tape," I said. My voice was a low growl. It sounded like gravel. "It is worse than we thought. Sterling, it is not just fraud. They are planning to kill me." Silence. I heard Sterling take a sharp, angry breath. "What did you say?" "I have them on camera last night in their bedroom." Julian was explaining the plan to Chloe. How he needs my signature on the medical forms so he can make end-of-life decisions after I have a tragic accident. A fall down the stairs, an overdose. He said it. He said it all. Jesus Christ. Sterling whispered, "Arthur, I am pulling you out of there right now. I am calling 911. This is over." "No," I said, my voice sharp. "You will not call 911. Not yet. The consultant, Mercer, is coming this morning. They are going to try to make me sign the papers. I want them to walk right into the trap. I want every single one of them in that room when the hammer comes down. Arthur, this is not a game." Sterling's voice was loud now. Frantic. "These people are trying to murder you. You cannot sit at a table with them." "Yes, I can," I said, and I felt a strange, cold, calm settle over me. "I am not asking you. Sterling, I am telling you. You are my lawyer. This is the plan. I want you to call the police. Your contacts. Not 911. I want a real team. I want them waiting parked just down the street. The meeting is at 10. I will have the cameras recording everything. I will have my phone on in my pocket. When I say the words, I am ready to sign. That is the signal. They come in. No seatings. Just come in and take them." Sterling was quiet for a long time. I could hear him breathing. "You are sure about this? Arthur, you are sure you want to be in that room?" I looked at the picture of Eleanor I kept in my wallet. I thought of her writing desk sold for pennies. I thought of Julian's cold, dead eyes on that video. I am 72 years old. "Sterling," I said, "I have lost my wife. I have lost my son. I have got nothing left to be afraid of. But I will be damned if I let them win. I want to see their faces. I want to be sitting right there when they realize the confused old man just checkmated them." "All right, Arthur," Sterling said, his voice hard as steel. "All right. We will be there. You just stay alive until then." I hung up. I stood up. I went to the small cracked mirror hanging over a utility sink. I looked at myself. The old man in the reflection looked terrified. Defeated. "No," I whispered to him. "Not you." I began to prepare. I took the new clothes I had bought and shoved them deep into my suitcase. Hiding them, I put back on the same stained, rumpled clothes I had worn when I arrived. I ran my hands through my hair, making it stand up in wild, uncombed tufts. I rubbed the dirt from the basement floor onto my cheeks under my eyes. I had not shaved. Good. The white stubble made me look gaunt. Haunted. I looked in the mirror again. The transformation was complete. I was no longer Arthur Pendleton, millionaire. I was the man they wanted to see. A grieving, broken, hopeless old man. A perfect victim. I heard the basement door unlock. "Dad." Julian called down, his voice laced with that fake, cheerful concern. "Mr. Mercer is going to be here soon. You ready for the big day?" I took a deep, shuddering breath, slumped my shoulders, and began to shuffle towards the stairs. "I am coming." "Sans whiz." I called up my voice. trembling perfectly. I am ready. I shuffled toward the stairs, making sure to lean heavily on the splintery railing. I put my hand to my head as if a wave of dizziness had hit me, which was not entirely untrue, though mine was from rage, not weakness. I am coming. Son? I called up my voice, a papery, trembling thing. I am ready. Julian was waiting at the top of the stairs, his face a perfect mask of anxious concern. Easy. Dad, ease. Let me help you. He grabbed my arm. His grip was not gentle. It was firm, proprietary. He was not assisting me. He was hauling me like a piece of cargo he needed to move from one spot to another. Mr. Mercer is here. He whispered as if sharing a secret. He is a very busy man. A very important man. So we need to, be respectful of his time. And he steered me not toward the kitchen, but to the living room, or what was left of it. The emptiness was somehow more shocking in the full light of day. The sun streamed in through the big bay windows, illuminating nothing. Just tile. Just bare white walls where our lives used to hang. In the absolute center of this vast echoing cavern, they had placed a wobbly card table and 3 cheap white plastic patio chairs. It looked less like a meeting and more like an interrogation. And sitting in one of those chairs as if it were a throne was Mr. Mercer. He was exactly what I had pictured. He was a man in his 50s with hair that was too black, too perfect, slicked back with a gel that gleamed under the light. His suit was a shiny sharkskin gray, the kind that tries to look expensive, but just looks slippery. His smile was all teeth wide and white and utterly fake. His eyes, though, his eyes were cold, small, and sharp. They darted toward me as I shuffled in, sizing me up. Calculating, he stood, extending a soft, damp hand. Mr. Pendleton Arthur. He boomed his voice too loud for the empty room. A profound pleasure to meet you. Sir? Though I truly wish it were under better circumstances. He pumped my hand, his grip unpleasantly energetic. I was just hearing from Julian and Chloe. What a terrible, terrible tragedy. He shook his head, clicking his tongue. To lose your wife and then, good heavens, your entire life savings all at once. It is unthinkable, unthinkable. I looked at the floor. I let my shoulders slump. I gave him my best. Most vakan stare. I just do not know what to do anymore. I mumbled. This was it. I could feel the invisible eye of the camera disguised as a Bluetooth speaker on the empty fireplace mantel, capturing his face, his voice, his professional practiced lies. Gotcha, I thought. And that, Mercer said, patting my shoulder, is why we are here. Julian and Chloe, I have to say, what wonderful children. He beamed at them. So proactive. They reached out to me just in time. Julian pulled one of the flimsy plastic chairs out for me. It scraped the sound like a scream on the tile floor. Sit down. Dad, Mr. Mercer is here to help us. He is the best. I collapsed into the chair, playing the part of the exhausted, defeated old man. Chloe, who had been standing by the empty fireplace, moved to stand behind Julian. She crossed her arms, her face set in a mask of solemn concern. She was watching me, not like a daughter-in-law, like a hawk. Arthur. Mercer began leaning forward, his voice dropping to a low, intimate, confidential tone. What we have here is a classic, tragic situation, but the state of California has wonderful programs for this. I work as a consultant for a program called the Senior Property and Health Protection Initiative, a complete fabrication. I knew it. Sterling had confirmed it. It is designed, he continued, specifically for situations exactly like yours. It allows a trusted family member to step in and create a protective bubble around you. He tapped a thick stack of documents on the card table. They were bound in an official-looking blue cover. Now, this is mostly legal boilerplate. Arthur, he said, waving his hand dismissively as if the details were just a bother. Standard stuff. What this does in simple terms is it gives your son Julian the authority to act on your behalf, to manage your debts, and most importantly, to handle any complicated medical decisions that might come up. It takes all the worry, all the stress right off your shoulders. You will not have to think about a single thing. He pulled an expensive, heavy-looking gold pen from his suit pocket. He clicked it. The sound was sharp, definitive in the empty room. He fanned the pages out, revealing a sea of fine print. We just need your signature here. He tapped a bright yellow "Sign Here" sticker. On the financial directive, he turned a page. On the medical directive, he turned another. Here on the main asset transfer authorization, just a few scribbles, and you can go right back to resting. Julian and Chloe will handle everything from here on out. He slid the documents and the pen across the wobbly table. Julian leaned in close. He put his hand on my shoulder. I could smell the faint, sour scent of last night bourbon on his breath. Just sign it. Dad, he whispered, his voice urgent, pleading. It is time to let go. It is time to let us take care of you. Just sign it. Everything will be okay. Chloe smiled from across the room. It was not a smile. It was the grin of a predator that had finally cornered its prey. I looked at the signature line. I looked at the pen. I reached out. My hand, my old weathered hand, trembled as it moved toward the pen. This part was not an act. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it would burst. I could feel all three of them. Julian, Chloe, Mercer, holding their breath. The camera on the mantel was rolling. The police were down the street. This was the moment. I picked up the pen. I looked at the pen, the heavy gold-plated pen that Mercer had placed in my hand. It felt slick and warm from his sweat. I looked down at the signature line, a simple, empty, blank space that held the value of my entire life. My hand began to shake. This part was not difficult to fake. My body was thrumming with adrenaline, a high-frequency vibration of pure, cold fury that masqueraded perfectly as the palsy of a broken old man. I let the tremor travel up my arm. I looked up past the stack of papers, and I locked eyes with my son Julian. I made sure he saw the tears welling in my eyes. I was not acting. These were real. They were tears of rage. Tears for my wife Eleanor. Tears for the son I had lost. I put all the confusion, all the grief, all the manufactured hopelessness of the last 3 days into my voice. Julian, I whispered. The sound was papery thin. This is a lot of paper. I do not understand it all. Julian leaned in his hand, landing on my shoulder again. That proprietary controlling grip? He was not comforting me. He was anchoring me. It is just legal stuff. Dad, boilerplate. Mr. Mercer explained it. It is just to help to get you back on your feet. Mercer, the shark-suited con artist, chimed in, his white-toothed smile fixed in place. It is just a formality. Arthur, a simple measure to protect you, to ensure you are taken care of by this wonderful, loving family. I looked back down at the page. And it will help? I asked, my voice cracking. This will really help me. I saw Julian glance at Chloe. She was standing by the empty fireplace. Her arms crossed so tightly her knuckles were white. She gave a tiny, almost imperceptible, impatient nod. Get it done. Julian leaned in closer, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial, loving whisper. The whisper of a traitor. It will help all of us. Dad. And there it was. All of us. Not it will help you. It will help us. The final unguarded confession. I held the pen over the paper. The tip hovered just millimeters above the dotted line. I could feel the tension in the room. It was so thick I could barely breathe. 3 people. 3 predators waiting for me to sign my own death warrant. I held it there. 1 second. 2 seconds. I could hear Chloe's sharp intake of breath. Then slowly, deliberately, I placed the pen back on the wobbly card table. It made a soft, definitive click in the silent, empty room. I am ready to sign. I said. The words were quiet. The signal to Sterling. But in that echoing, bare-walled tomb of a room, it sounded like a gunshot. I paused, letting the silence stretch for one agonizing heartbeat. No. I said it. Mercer's plastic smile froze half-formed. Chloe's crossed arms tightened her nails, digging into her own skin. Julian. Julian just blinked. He had not processed it. What? What did you say? Dad, I do not think I heard you. I pushed the flimsy plastic chair back. The sound of its legs scraping on the tile was agonizingly loud. I stood up. I was not the broken, shuffling old man from the basement anymore. I stood up straight. I pushed my shoulders back the way I did when I was about to fire a lazy manager. I looked down at the 3 of them. My voice did not tremble. It did not crack. It was the voice that had built a logistics empire. It was the voice of Arthur Pendleton. I said, no. The transformation was instant. All 3 of them just stared. Their masks of concern had not just slipped. They had shattered. Dad, what are you doing? Julian stammered, his face starting to turn a pale, too white. You are confused. The shock, you are not thinking straight. I am not confused. Julian, I said, my voice hardening, gaining power with every word. I am not foggy. In fact, I have never ever seen things more clearly in my entire life. Arthur. Now listen. Mercer started trying to regain control. He stood up, attempting to use his height, his slippery suit, to intimidate me. This is a very generous offer from your son. In your position, you really do not have many options. I am not talking to you. I snapped. He flinched as if I had slapped him. I pointed a trembling finger. Real trembling this time. With pure rage at my son. I am talking to him. I looked at Julian. I let him see the ice. I let him see the man he had forgotten existed. I will not. I said, my voice booming in the empty room, be signing the durable power of attorney. I tapped the first stack of papers. I will not. I continued tapping the second stack. Be signing the medical power of attorney. I paused, letting the words sink in. And I will damn well not. I finished my voice a low growl. To be signing over financial control of my $1 million life insurance policy. Silence. Absolute deafening bottomless silence. Chloe's face went from white to a sickly shade of green. She made a small gagging sound in the back of her throat. Mercer's jaw had dropped. His eyes, his cold, dead eyes, darted toward the front door. He was calculating his exit. He knew the con was up. But Julian just stared at me. His face was a terrifying blank mask. The fake concern was gone. The panic was gone. All that was left was a cold, calculating emptiness. "How?" he whispered, his voice barely audible. What did you do? You called me a confused old man." "Julian," I said, "you called me destitute. You thought I was broken." I smiled. It was a cold, hard smile. It was not my smile. It was the smile of a man who had just won. "You made one mistake," I said. "You forgot. I am the man who taught you how to lie." Julian's face spasmed. He tried to form a laugh, but it came out as a strangled wet sound. A choked gasp. "Dad." "What are you talking about?" "1 million. You are confused." He glanced at Mercer. A desperate, wild look in his eyes, trying to get his co-conspirator to play along. "See, this is what I was talking about. He is paranoid. He is having delusions. He is not well. Don't." I roared, the word ripped out of my chest, echoing off the bare walls so loud that Mercer physically flinched. The mask was gone. The old man was gone. "Don't you dare call me confused." "You son of a bitch." Yebel a finger, trembling with rage, directly at him. "I heard you. I heard everything. I was in this house in that hole you put me in. And I heard you. I heard you through the floor. I heard you planning." Julian's face went from white to a sickly gray. "What? What?" "You are lying." "Am I?" I turned my head slowly toward the empty fireplace mantel to the small black speaker sitting on it. "I heard you on camera. Julian, I heard you last night in your bedroom. I heard you tell Chloe how you were going to leverage my policy. Let that sink in." And then I said, my voice dropping to a low, venomous growl, "I heard you explain the other plan. The better one. The one where you get all the money. The one where I have a tragic fall down the basement stairs. The one where you and her murder me for my money." Chloe let out a sound. It was not a word. It was a high, thin, whistling shriek like a kettle at full boil. "He knows. Julian, he knows. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God." Mercer did not scream. He was a professional. He did not waste time on denial. He bolted. He kicked the flimsy card table aside. Papers flew everywhere. A blizzard of his own lies. And he sprinted. He was fast scrambling across the empty tile floor, heading for the front door for the open air. He almost made it. Just as his hand reached for the doorknob, the front door burst open, slamming against the wall with a crack of wood. "Sit down." The voice was a cannon shot. It was not Sterling. It was a cop. 2 uniformed police officers filled the doorway. They were not the local beat cops I had half expected. They were big, serious men, hands on their holstered weapons. And right behind them, calm as a funeral director, was Mr. Sterling, my lawyer, holding his briefcase. Mercer froze his hands in the air. He looked like a mannequin. "Mr. Mercer," one of the officers said, his voice bored. "Put your hands on your head. Turn around slowly." Chloe was sobbing, great gasping, ugly sobs sliding down the wall, her designer yoga pants bunching at her knees. Sterling walked calmly past the officer, stepping around the cowering con artist as if he were a piece of trash on the sidewalk. He walked right up to me. "Are you all right?" "Arthur?" he asked, his voice low. "I am now Sterling," I said, my knees finally starting to feel weak. Sterling nodded once. He then turned his attention to the man being held by the officer. He looked at Mercer with a kind of mild academic disgust. "Mr. Martin Mercier," Sterling said. reading from a paper in his hand. A pleasure. I have been doing some light reading on you. It says here, your license to practice law in the state of Nevada was suspended in 2019 for, oh my, gross misappropriation of client funds. Mercer did not say anything. He was shaking. I also have a printout. Sterling continued, of an active warrant for your arrest from Maricopa County, Arizona for elder fraud and conspiracy. He looked up from the paper and gave Mercer a thin, cold smile. I am quite sure the state of California will be delighted to add their own charges to that list. Officer, I believe he is all yours. You are under arrest. Sir? The cop said, yanking Mercer's arms behind his back. Mercer did not fight. He just deflated. The shiny sharkskin suit seemed to collapse. He let out a long, whimpering sigh. The sound of a game, truly. And finally lost. The officer pushed him down onto one of the plastic patio chairs. The click, click, click of the handcuffs ratcheting shut was the loudest sound I had ever heard. One con artist down. I turned my head. The second officer was standing over Chloe, who was now just a weeping pile on the floor. And then there was Julian. My son. He had not moved. He had not run. He was standing frozen by the overturned card table. He was staring at me. Not at the police. Not at Mercer. Not at his weeping wife. At me. His face was a mask of pure, uncomprehending horror. The confused old man was gone. The lie was gone. The plan was gone. All that was left was the truth. Dad. He whispered his voice. You lied to me. You told me you were broke. The sound of the handcuffs clicking shut on Mercer seemed to break the spell. Chloe, who had been a whimpering frozen statue by the wall, suddenly uncoiled. Her face was a mask of tears, and smeared mascara twisted into a look of pure, venomous hatred. But she was not looking at me. She was not looking at the police. She was looking at Julian. She scrambled to her feet and flew at him, her hands clawing. You? She shrieked, pounding on his chest with her fists. You did this. You told me he was stupid. You told me he was a confused old man. You said he would sign anything. You stupid. Stupid fool. You have ruined us. Julian did not even seem to feel her blows. He just stood there paralyzed, his mouth hanging open. He was staring at me. His eyes were wide with a horrifying dawning realization. The cogs were finally painfully turning in his head. Dad, he whispered. His voice was hoarse, unrecognizable. You lied to me. I let a small cold smile touch my lips. I did. You told me you were broke, he said, the words catching in his throat, his mind struggling to process the scene. You told me you lost everything. You told me you were homeless. That was all a lie. Oh, that I said, taking a small, satisfying step toward him. That is the best part. Julian. I looked at the chaos. Mercer head hanging, being read his rights by the door. Chloe having dissolved into hysterical sobs on the floor, and my son standing in the middle of it all, finally understanding that he, the master manipulator, had been the one who was played. Yes, I said, that was a lie. Autist. 1. You failed more spectacularly than I could have ever imagined. Julian shook his head, still not fully grasping it. But why? Why would you? You have no money. The apartment, you said. I think, I said, turning my head toward the door, that my lawyer should handle this part. I nodded at Sterling, who had been watching the entire exchange with a grim, "Quelle satisfaction, Mr. Sterling," I said. my voice loud and clear in the echoing empty room. Perhaps you could inform my son about my actual financial situation. Sterling stepped forward, adjusting the cuffs of his expensive suit. He opened his dark leather briefcase with 2 soft, authoritative clicks. He took out a single, crisp, cream-colored document. With pleasure. "Arthur," he said. He looked at Julian, his eyes as cold and impersonal as a banker's vault. "Mr. Julian Pendleton," Sterling said, his voice cutting through Chloe's sobs. "While it is true your father sold his home, he did not lose that money in a bad investment. Furthermore, as of last week, following the death of his brother, Mr. Thomas Pendleton, your father became the sole beneficiary of his entire estate." Julian just stared unblinking. Chloe's sobs hitched. She was listening. Sterling paused, letting the silence hang in the air, heavy and absolute. After all, estate taxes and fees have been settled. He continued, "Mr. Arthur Pendleton's current net worth is $12,200,000. The sound that came out of Chloe was not human. It was a high, thin wail, like a dying animal, a sound of such profound, agonizing loss that it was almost deafening. Her eyes rolled back in her head and she slumped sideways, fainting dead away onto the cold tile floor. The second officer had to rush over to her, rolling her onto her side. But Julian did not faint. He just broke. 12, he whispered. His entire body started to tremble. 12 million. His face, which had been pale with shock, suddenly flushed a dark, blotchy red. A new emotion was flooding in one so powerful, so primitive. It eclipsed everything else. Greed. He looked at the 12 million hanging in the air. He looked at the handcuffs on Mercer. He looked at his unconscious wife. He looked at me, and then he fell to his knees. "Dad," he cried, crawling toward me, scrambling over the scattered, fraudulent papers. He grabbed at the legs of my pants. "Dad, please, please listen to me." He was sobbing now, real thick tears of desperation. I did not mean it. I swear I was scared. I was in debt. "Chloe." She pushed me. "I would never have I love you." "Dad, I have always loved you." He clung to my legs like a small, desperate child. "We can fix this. You have 12 million. We have 12 million. We can fix everything. We can be a family again. I will get a new house. A bigger one. I will take care of you. I will do anything. I swear. Just tell them to leave. Tell them it is all a misunderstanding." I looked down at the top of his head at my son, my only child, groveling at my feet, not because he was sorry, but because he had just found out I was rich. I lifted my foot and I kicked his hands away. He fell back onto the tile, looking up at me, his face a mask of stunned disbelief. "You disgust me." I spat. "You heard me on the tape," I said, my voice shaking with a rage so profound it almost choked me. "You were going to have me killed. You were going to murder me for $1 million. No. Dad, I was just talking. Stress talking. You were planning." I roared. "You locked me in the basement. You were going to have me fall down the stairs all for $1 million. I leaned down, my face inches from his frowmas. "And you really think I would ever trust you with 12 million? I straightened up. I looked past him, past his fainted, greedy wife. I looked at the second officer, the one who was now watching Julian with utter contempt. "Officer," I said, my voice clear and steady. "This man, Julian Pendleton, and his wife, Chloe Pendleton, conspired to defraud me. They held me against my will in their basement. And I said, pointing to the camera on the mantel, I have them on video planning my murder. Please. I finished. Arrest them. Julian's face collapsed. The begging stopped. The mask was gone. All that was left was pure animalistic rage. No. He screamed, scrambling to his feet. You cannot. You old bastard. You cannot do this. That is my money. He lunged. Not at me. At the officer. It was over in a second. The officer was younger. Faster. He grabbed Julian, spun him around, and slammed him face first against the bare wall. You cannot. I am his son. Julian schriekt. His voice muffled against the plaster. It is mine. It is mine. The sound of the second pair of handcuffs ratcheting shut was the sweetest sound I had ever heard in my life. It was 3 weeks later. 3 weeks since I had watched my son get handcuffed and dragged out of his own house. Screaming about his money. I was sitting in Mr. Fouth, Sterling's office. It was high up on the 40th floor, overlooking the San Diego skyline. The view was clear, sharp, just like Sterling himself. The air conditioning was quiet. The coffee his assistant brought me was real. I had not realized how long it had been since I had tasted real coffee. Sterling closed a thick blue-bound legal file and placed it squarely in the center of his massive mahogany desk. Well, Arthur, he said. It is done. I just nodded, sipping my coffee. I did not say anything. I just waited. Julian and Chloe Pendleton have been denied bail. Sterling continued his voice-flat professional reading from the report. The prosecutor is enthusiastic to say the least, with the video evidence from the hidden cameras, the audio recording of their bedroom conversation, the murder plot, and now the full cooperating testimony of Mr. Prizeny, Mercer. And he allowed himself a small, cold smile, who it turns out was very eager to make a deal in exchange for a lighter sentence. The prosecution is confident. They are both facing at a minimum 15 to 20 years. What charges? I asked. My voice sounded distant, like it was coming from someone else. Conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. Conspiracy to commit fraud. Unlawful imprisonment. And for Mercer practicing law without a license. They are not getting out of this. Arthur. I nodded. I felt nothing. Just an empty, cold space where a father's love used to be, and the house. Sterling went on looking at another document. The bank officially foreclosed on it last week. The auction is set for the 30th. Whatever assets they had left, they are gone. They have lost everything. Good. I said. The word came out harder than I expected. Colder. Sterling leaned back in his big leather chair. It sighed under his weight. He took off his glasses, rubbing the bridge of his nose. For the first time in 30 years, his lawyerly mask softened. He looked at me, not as a client, but as a man. That brings us to the 12 million Arthur to Anne. The accounts are finalized. Thomas's estate is settled. The money is yours, free and clear. So he put his glasses back on. What are you going to do? It was the question. Was it not? The question I had been asking myself every night in the clean, sterile, silent hotel room I had rented. A room that felt just as much like a prison as that basement had. I turned away from Sterling. I stood up and walked to the massive floor-to-ceiling window. I looked out at the city. All those people down there running around building things, raising families, trying to make $1. I had been one of them for 40 years. I had built, I had saved, I had sacrificed. For what? For what? So my son, my only child, could lock me in a basement and plot my death for $1 million. I have been thinking about that, Sterling, I said, my voice quiet, my reflection staring back at me in the glass. I do not need $12 million. I turned to face him. I am 72 years old. My wife is gone. My son is dead to me. What am I going to do with it? Buy a yacht. Travel the world. It all seems meaningless. Sterling nodded slowly. He understood. It is a heavy burden. Arthur, money you did not ask for, arriving at the worst time in your life. It is not just a burden. I said the truth of it finally hitting me. It is cursed. It is the money Thomas left me. It is the money Julian thought he had. It is the money they were willing to kill me for. I started pacing the expensive rug. I could not stand still. My hands were clenched into fists. If I spend $1 of that on myself, on a new car, on a fancy steak dinner, it will feel like they won. It will feel like I am spending blood money, my own blood. So? Sterling asked, his voice neutral. You are going to give it all away. I am going to redirect it. I said. I stopped pacing. The idea had been forming in the back of my mind for weeks. Ever since that night in the basement. Now it was crystal clear. Eleanor, my wife. She always volunteered at the senior center. She was always angry about how invisible old people become. How easy it is for families to take advantage of them. I looked Sterling dead in the eye. Julian thought I was a confused old man. He thought I was helpless. Hay and Mercer. This is their business. Sterling, they prey on people like me. People who are old alone and who they assume are stupid. They assumed wrong. Sterling said, a rare thin smile on his face. Damn right they did. I said, and I am going to spend every last cent of Thomas's $12 million making sure they can never do it to anyone else. Sterling leaned forward, the pen tapping on his desk again. A foundation. A fortress. I corrected him. I am not just donating. I am building. I want to create a legal aid center. A free one. I want to hire sharks. I want to hire lawyers like you. Sterling, I want a hotline 24/7. I want investigators. I want forensic accountants. I want a place where any senior citizen who thinks their family is stealing their checks, who thinks their son is trying to lock them in a basement, can come and get the best, most aggressive legal defense money can buy. I walked back to the window. But this time I was not looking at the city. I was looking at the future. I am going to take that $12 million, I said, and I am going to turn it into a weapon for all the other confused old men out there. Sterling was silent for a moment. He just looked at me. Arthur, he finally said, that is a brilliant idea, a truly brilliant idea. But are you sure it is your money? You earned the right to rest, to live in peace. I have rested enough. I said, I have been sitting on the sidelines of my own life for 3 years grieving now. Now I have a new business to build. Eleanor would have liked this. I felt lighter. The curse of the money was lifting. It was not blood money anymore. It was armor. But first, I said, sitting back down, my voice turning to ice again. There is one last piece of business. What is that? Julian, I said, I need to see him in prison. Just once. Arthur, I am not sure that is advisable. Just once. I insisted. I need to tell him what I am doing. And I need to do one more thing. What? I need to cut him out of my will. Not just the new $12 million. Everything. Every last dime I ever earned from Pendleton Shipping. He wanted me to have nothing fine. I am going to make sure he gets exactly that. Sterling arranged the visit. I did not think they would let me. But apparently a father seeing his son before a major trial, it was a courtesy. a courtesy I intended to use. 2 days later, I was walking through a series of buzzing, electronically locked steel doors. The air inside the county jail was cold. It smelled of bleach, stale sweat, and something metallic, like despair. I was led into a long room filled with small partitioned booths. Thick, smeared plexiglass separated us from them. I sat down on the hard plastic stool and picked up the heavy, greasy black telephone receiver. I waited. I watched other families. A young woman crying silently as she held her hand to the glass. An old mother looking just as broken as I felt, trying to speak to a son who would not look up. This was a room of broken things. A door buzzed on the other side, and he walked in. My breath caught in my throat. It was Julian, but it was not. The man who walked in was not my arrogant, well-dressed, confident son. He was a shell. He was wearing a baggy, bright orange jumpsuit, 2 sizes too big. His face was gaunt, his skin a sickly pale gray. He had a dark, patchy stubble. His hair was greasy, matted. He looked like he had aged 20 years in 3 weeks. The arrogance was gone. The cunning was gone. All that was left was a hollow, terrified desperation. He saw me. His eyes, the same eyes Eleanor used to say were my best feature, widened. He stumbled to the booth opposite me, fumbling with his own phone. His hands shaking so violently, he almost dropped it. He sat down. We just stared at each other through the glass for a long moment. I felt nothing. No pity. No sadness. Just a cold, vast emptiness. Dad. His voice crackled over the line. It was a rasp. He swallowed his Adam apple. Bobbing. Dad. You came. I came. I said. My voice was steady. Tears instantly welled in his eyes. Not the fake ones from the restaurant. These were real. Thick, ugly tears of pure animal panic. Dad. Please. He choked his hand. Coming up to the glass, his fingers splayed. You have to help me. Please. They are saying horrible things. They are talking about 20 years. 20 years. He was sobbing now, his shoulders shaking. Please. Dad. Get me a better lawyer. Not the public defender. Sterling. Call Sterling. Tell him to fix this. Tell them it was all a mistake. A misunderstanding. It was Chloe. It was all her idea. She pushed me. I swear, he was babbling the words, tumbling out in a desperate, pathetic stream. I just watched him. I did not blink. Please. He begged. I am your son. You cannot just leave me in here. I am your son. I leaned forward. I put my mouth close to the receiver. No. I said. He stopped, his mouth half open. A sob stuck in his throat. What? No. I repeated, my voice as cold and hard as the concrete floor. You are not my son. Dad. Please do not say that. My son. I said. Cutting him off. Died. I do not know when. Maybe when his startup failed. Maybe when his mother died. But he is gone. My son would have never locked me in a basement. My son would have never sold his mother's desk. And my son, I said, leaning in so close, my forehead almost touched the glass, would never ever have plotted to have me murdered for money. I did not. I would not have shrieked. I was just talking. I was stressed. You do not understand. I understand everything. I said, I am here for one reason. Julian, one last piece of family business. I saw a flash of desperate hope in his eyes. Yes. Yes. Dad, I am here to tell you. I said that I have instructed Mr. Sterling to begin the process of officially disowning you. I am cutting you out of everything. My will. My trust. My name. When I die, you will not receive $1. You will not get 1 cent from Pendleton Shipping. You will not get one single rusted anchor from the $12 million your Uncle Thomas left me. You get nothing. The color drained from his face. The terror was replaced by a sudden violent, blotchy red. The true Julian was still in there after all. You cannot, he whispered, shaking his head in disbelief. It is already in motion. I said, and then he erupted. He shot to his feet, slamming his shackled fists against the partition. The whole booth shuddered. You cannot, he screamed, his voice distorting over the cheap phone line. You cannot do that. I am your son. I am your only son. It is my right. It is my inheritance. The guards at the back of the room tensed, but they did not move. They had seen this 1,000 times. I just looked at him, at this raging, pathetic creature on the other side of the glass. You had a right, I said, my voice quiet, cutting through his screams. You had a right to my love. You had a right to my support. You had a right to my name. I stood up slowly. You gave up that right when you decided my life was worth less than a down payment on a new one. No. You old bastard. You cannot leave me. It is mine. It is mine. I placed the heavy black receiver gently back onto its cradle, cutting off the sound of his voice. I turned my back to the glass. I could still hear him, a muffled animalistic howl pounding on the partition as the guards moved in. I did not look back. I just walked past the other broken families, through the buzzing steel door, into the clean, bright California sun, and I never ever looked back. 6 months later, the air did not smell like bleach or mildew. It smelled of fresh paint, new carpet, and hope. I was standing on a brand new sidewalk under a warm California sun, but I was not at a jail or a courthouse or a soulless hotel. I was in front of a beautiful, modern 2-story building. It was built of glass and clean white stucco, with native palms shading a small, peaceful garden out front. Above the double glass doors, in simple, elegant steel letters, was the name. The name I had chosen. The name that mattered. The Eleanor Pendleton Center for Elder Justice. My wife's name. A small crowd was gathered on the lawn. A few local news cameras. Some city officials. And most importantly, a front row of faces my age. Seniors from the community, people I had met in the last few months. People who had heard my story and shared their own. Mr. Sterling stood beside me, beaming. He was not my lawyer today. He was the chairman of the board. He handed me a comically large pair of gold-plated scissors. A young reporter for Felt Local News held a microphone up to me. Mr. Pendleton. Mr. Pendleton. People are stunned. $12 million. An entire inheritance. Most people would buy an island. Why this? I looked at her. I looked at the crowd. I looked up at Eleanor's name. I stepped up to the small podium. The microphone gave a soft thump as I adjusted it. A few months ago, I said, my voice steady, clear, carrying in the warm air. I was a different man. I was a man who thought his life was over. I was a man who had lost his wife and had lost his son. I was a man who was told he was confused, helpless, abandoned. I saw some heads in the front row nod. They knew this story. They had lived their own versions of it. And then I continued. I was given a gift. A significant gift. $12 million. And I had a choice. I paused. I looked at the building. My building. I could have taken that money and disappeared. I could have bought that island. I could have lived out my days in quiet. Wealthy. Lonely luxury. But my wife, Eleanor, she taught me something. She taught me that what you have is meaningless compared to what you do. So I decided to do something. I used the entire $12 million. Every last cent to build this place. I gestured to the glass doors behind me. I built it because I realized a true legacy is not what you leave to your children. It is the safety and dignity you create for your generation. And the reporter was scribbling frantically. My son, he saw me as a target. He and his partners, they have a business. Their business is preying on the elderly. They bank on us being isolated. They bank on us being trusting. They bank on us being too confused to fight back. Well, I said, my voice rising, I am not confused, and I am not helpless. And starting today, neither is anyone else in this city. A ripple of applause started, but I held up my hand. This, I said, is the Eleanor Pendleton Center. This is not a charity. This is a fortress. Inside these walls are the most aggressive, ruthless elder fraud lawyers money can buy. Lawyers hired from Mr. Bryan on, Sterling's own firm. We have a 24-hour hotline. We have private investigators. We have forensic accountants. I looked directly into the news camera. So, this is a message to any son or daughter who thinks they can get their parents to just sign a little form. To any consultant who thinks they can steal a life savings. To anyone who thinks they can lock their father in a basement. We are waiting for you. We are watching you. And we will find you. And we will use every dollar of this $12 million to bring you to justice. I took a deep breath. My old life. It was built on ships. Steel. Concrete. Things you can buy and sell. My new life. This new legacy is built on something stronger. It is built on justice. Thank you. The applause was loud. It was not just polite. It was relieved. It was grateful. Mr. Sterling shook my hand. I turned to the large blue ribbon stretched across the doorway. I lifted the heavy scissors. I thought of Julian in his cell screaming about his money. He would be there for a long time. Chloe, who had fainted, had rolled over on her husband to save herself and was facing a slightly shorter sentence. They were gone. The money was not a curse. It was a tool. I looked up at Eleanor's name one last time. This is for you. Honey, I whispered. You always wanted to help people. Well, we are helping. I snipped the ribbon. The silk parted with a soft shh. The doors to the center opened. I walked in first. Not as a victim. Not as a confused old man. But as a founder, I had a lot of work to do. The sound of the ribbon splitting was small. Almost silent. But to me, it was a cannon shot. It was the sound of a door closing on my old life and a new one beginning. The small crowd cheered. A mixture of seniors from the neighborhood city officials and Mr. Havernant, Sterling, who was standing beside me, clapping me on the back. They are waiting for you. Arthur, Sterling said, gesturing to the open glass doors. Your new board of directors. I nodded. Still dazed. Still holding my half of the giant scissors, I felt a strange lightness. A purpose I had not felt in years. Not since Eleanor was alive. As I took my first step toward the entrance, a voice cut through the polite applause. Mr. Pendleton. Mr. Pendleton. One last question. I turned. A young woman, a reporter from a local news channel, was pushing a microphone toward my face. She had that look of practiced professional sympathy. That was an incredible speech. "Sir," she said, "and what you have built here, it is inspiring. But I have to ask the question everyone is thinking." I stopped. I knew what was coming. The last 6 months had been a public circus. Father hands son to police. The Pendleton conspiracy. I was the old man who had put his own son in prison. "You are a millionaire," she said, "but you are alone. You have lost your only son. You put him behind bars. Do you have any regrets? Do you regret losing him?" I looked at this young woman. She was just doing her job. She saw the world in black and white. Good and evil. Family and strangers. She could not understand the gray. She could not understand the rot. I felt the crowd go silent. Everyone was listening. Sterling took a small step toward me as if to shield me to end the interview. I put a hand on his arm. "It is all right, Sterling." I turned back to the reporter. I gave her a smile. It was not a happy smile. But it was not a broken one either. It was a tired smile. A peaceful smile. "That is a fair question," I said, my voice quiet. But the microphone picked it up perfectly. "You are asking me if I regret losing my son." I looked up at the sign above the door at Eleanor's name. "I lost my son," I said, my voice clear and steady. Long time ago. Long before I ever made that phone call. Long before I ever bought those cameras." The reporter looked confused. "Sir," I think I continued, "I lost him the day his mother died, and he started asking about the value of her jewelry instead of sharing stories about her life. I think I lost him when his business failed, and he learned how to blame me for his own mistakes instead of learning from them. I lost him every time he and his wife looked at me. Not as a father, but as a bank account, as an obstacle they had to wait out." I took a deep breath. The air felt clean. What happened 6 months ago? That was not me losing my son. That was me finding out he was already gone. That the person who looked like my son was just a monster. A greedy, hollow stranger who was willing to have me murdered for $1 million. I saw the reporter wince. It was the truth. It was ugly. But it was the truth. "What I regret," I said, "is not seeing it sooner. I regret raising a man who valued $1 more than he valued a life. That is a failure I will have to live with every single day for the rest of my time on this earth." I gestured to the building behind me. "But this is how I make it right. This is how I try to fix my mistake. But he was your only family." The reporter pressed, still not understanding. "Now you have no one." I looked past her. I looked at the dozens of old faces of seniors, all watching me. Some were smiling. Some were crying. They were all nodding. They understood. They knew what it felt like to be invisible. To be seen as a burden. "You are wrong," I said to the reporter. "I have found a new family. I found hundreds of fathers, mothers, grandfathers, and grandmothers all right here in this city who are being told they are confused, who are being told they are a burden, who are being locked in basements emotionally or physically by the people who are supposed to love them." I turned my back to the camera. I turned my back to my old life, to the pity, to the scandal. "They," I said, my voice loud enough for everyone to hear, "are my family now." I looked at Mr. Akin. "Sterling." He smiled and held the glass door open for me. "And I have a lot of work to do." I walked out of this bright sunlight and into the cool, quiet hallway of the Eleanor Pendleton Center. I walked past the reception desk, past the new offices where our lawyers were already taking calls. I did not look back.